Okay, I think we're live.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Howdy Partner Show. My name is Kripa Dikshit and I'm a Senior Partner Solutions Architect from AWS. With me, I have Olabanji Soaga. Olabanji, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yes, hey everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, where you're from, wherever you're listening to us from. My name is Olabanji Shwaga, and I'm a partner solutions architect here at AWS. And it's good to be here once again. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. So Olabanji, we are here for the Howdy Partner Show. Can you talk a little bit more about what Howdy Partner is?
Sure. Once again, welcome everyone. Howdy Partner is a weekly Twitch series that highlights AWS partners that have built innovative solutions and have been validated by AWS solutions architects. So we bring on partners that have a differentiated solution and demonstrate the solution to our viewers.
Awesome. So for today's session, we are bringing on Gyst Technologies, and we have Dan O'Sullivan, who is the CEO of Gyst, joining us here. Hey, Dan. I think you're muted.
Muted.
There we go. Hi there.
Thank you so much for joining, Dan. Really appreciate your time. Since you're here, can you please quickly introduce yourself and also talk a little bit more about your role at Gyst Technologies, and also give a brief overview of what is Gyst?
Absolutely. Great to be here. Thanks for the opportunity. And I am the founder and CEO of Gyst Technologies. We're in the contact center speech technology business. And my own background, I've been in contact center speech technology for about, I'd say, over 20 years, mostly on the software development. My background is electrical engineering and computer science. I'm a technical founder. This is my third startup in the space, and I'm very excited today to have the opportunity to present our technology. The company itself is headquartered in Houston. That's where I am now, but we sell worldwide with a focus on North America, Europe, and South America. So again, great to be here, and thanks everyone for joining.
Oh, absolutely. We're so excited to have you. So Dan, what do we have? What do you have for us today? Are you going to provide the overview of the product and also demo? Can you give an overview of the agenda?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to cover the basic business benefits of the technology. Well, first of all, I'll cover what it is, what it does, and then I'll go through why a contact center, in particular one that's using Amazon Connect and Lex, it would be in their interest to take a look at Gyst and what it does for Connect and Lex. Big picture is it basically, the number one benefit is it saves costs. It helps callers to self-serve more so in an IVR application and also in a Lex bot. So I'll get to how it does that in a little while, but the economic point of the product is that the more callers that can self-serve in the IVR, the fewer that have to be handled by an agent. And agents typically cost anywhere from $3 to $6 a call, depending on their skill levels. In banking and finance, it can be as high as $6 or $7 per call. Whereas automated calls such as Connect and Lex are anywhere in the 10 to 20 cents range. So there's a strong incentive on the part of particularly medium to high volume inbound contact centers, some of which get tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands, up to 1 million calls per day. So that's the primary benefit. Secondary and also important benefit is it improves the caller experience. And I'll demonstrate how it does that with one of our videos in a little while. And then the third benefit, which is important, is Gyst Analytics, which basically is a very high resolution analytics reports on caller behavior in the IVR. Every conversation turn the IVR takes, we microanalyze it and report back on all, very important information like what kind of friction callers are experiencing, whether touch tone would be better than speech in certain IVR call paths, and so forth. So that's what I'll do after the economic and business benefits is I'll dive into the actual implementation in Connect and Lex and so forth.
That's awesome. And you brought up a very good point around the problem statement that the product solves for, right? So other than the economic benefit, it's also a customer experience, and that is no one wants to be on the call waiting for the agent to like pick up and support, right? And that is the value of self-serve, and especially now with given that all the applications are integrating with AI, and then AI is doing much of this kind of like grunt work. So we see organizations leveraging self-serve implementations, especially around the contact center space, to reduce costs, to better customer experience, and also that minimizes the amount of operational overhead that the supervisors have to invest in as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a good point. That the more callers that can self-serve in the voice channel with the mundane, repetitive kind of calls, the more agents are freed up to handle the intricate, the ones that need more attention. And so there's less, and companies have done studies on this. There's less agent burnout. The agents, are in a different mood if they're using their skills to really handle a call that requires that one-on-one interaction. And conversly, if they're handling the same call over and over again that could be automated, that shows up in overall in the experience too.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that we don't talk about often is the amount of effort that goes into like training the agent as well. So with self-serve, this also allows the agents to like ramp up at their own time, right? So that's another benefit to this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So overall, I think, it's an improvement in customer experience and satisfaction. It's a reduction in costs. And the analytics themselves are a great way, to get really, really deep and high resolution insight into every single path a caller takes through your voice bot or through your IVR call script.
Awesome.
Yeah, good. So I guess with that overview in place, we can go ahead and bring up. Let me see. Are you going to get my screen going? Here we go. Okay. So I don't seem to have control of the screen right now. Oh, that's a problem. It's not scrolling for me. It's just giving me a still image.
You can perhaps like stop the screen share and start again.
Yeah, let me try that.
Let me know and I can bring you back up. Bring the screen back up.
Okay.
Meanwhile, folks who are listening in, if you have questions, feel free to drop it here in the chat.
All right. Let's see how that works. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, let me see. Present. Yeah. Share screen. just the Chrome tab. There, can we see that?
Yep.
You can see that okay?
Yes, we can.
Very good. All right, great. Sorry about that. Okay, so here, let me show you, again, this is a sort of bullet points here of what we just talked about. How much does ineffective voice service cost you? This being for a contact center. You know, when callers really want to, it's kind of like the old days with ATMs. You know, bank customers really wanted to use the ATM, but you know they had to be easy to use. It's the same with IVR, and you know I've been in IVR long enough to know that it's gotten, and I think, in my opinion, justifiably a bad name over the years, because I think that had a lot to do with the fact that a lot of voice applications and call scripts were very poorly designed. But you know, today I think with products like Amazon Connect and Lex, and you know, intelligent voice assistants, voice recognition, and so on and so forth, I think, you know, obviously they've gotten a whole lot better. But the point here is that the callers calling in, they really want to self-serve, just like with the ATMs. But you know, they have a threshold, and if it doesn't work for them, we all know this. You know, if it doesn't work, and it doesn't work pretty soon, they're going to get frustrated, and then they're going to just zero out, or they're going to hang up and call back in, and they're already frustrated. And again, they can take that frustration out on your agents, but you know, it makes the call longer. It's not a good experience, and it costs the contact center a lot of money. So what I'll do is play a short video here that kind of explains how Gyst addresses this problem. Let me just set it up here.
To your contact center, they're far more likely to be using their smartphone and dealing with poor mobile signals and a lot of background noise.
Can you guys hear the video?
Yes.
Oh, you can. Very good. All right. Let me see. I think we might have started a little bit in. So yeah, here we go.
Today, your customers have come to expect intuitive and personalized user experiences as the norm. And when they call into your contact center, they're far more likely to be using their smartphone and dealing with poor mobile signals and a lot of background noise. Or they may be dealing with distractions in the office or home. Or they may even be calling you from their car while trying to focus on driving. On top of that, each of your customers have their own unique cognitive, language, and other communication skills. They may also have limited familiarity with the call flow of your voice application. It's no wonder callers struggle to self-serve in the voice channel. Gyst solves this problem by allowing your voice system to adjust the speaking rate a little faster, like this, every time the caller responds with skill and accuracy, as compared to other callers using the exact same voice application. And it slows down like this when the caller is slower or less proficient. Gyst can also enable your voice system to provide additional instructions when a caller is struggling more than usual compared to your other customers, or to simply allow additional time for the caller to respond when the Gyst algorithms detect this situation.
Okay. So basically there, you know, to sum that up, the technology does essentially what humans do in real conversation, whether it's in person or over the phone. We're just so good at it, we don't even realize we're doing it, but we're constantly adapting, you know, to suit the audience. You know, if we get signals that the listener doesn't understand, and if it's in person, there are visual cues, body language, and so on. If that's the case, then we tend to slow down a little, give a little more information, and sync up that way. On the other hand, if you have a listener who's, seems like they're maybe getting bored or said they'd like the conversation to move along, we automatically just adapt to that situation too. So the idea in a nutshell for Gyst is to allow your voice channel, and when I say voice channel, I mean your IVR plus your voice bot or your voice bot only, as long as you're self-serving in the voice channel. It allows it to adapt in real time to suit the skills and preferences of each individual caller. Okay. Now, what's important about it is that our algorithms, and I'll get into this in a little more detail soon, but our algorithms at every conversation turn, right? So a conversation turn is the voice system prompts the user to enter a bank account, last 4 digits, a zip code, say yes or no, whatever the question is. But and then the caller responds. So that's one conversation turn. If I call into my bank and use the voice help service, I may want available balance, transfer funds, and check on savings account, something like that. And I might use 8 conversation nodes out of a potential maybe 400, 500, 600 that are available to me in the call script. You might call in and you just want to transfer funds and see if a check cleared, and you might use a different 4 or 5 and so on. So the point is that the technology ascertains at every single conversation turn. It asks a simple question that's it's fairly sophisticated in terms of software algorithms. There's machine learning and software algorithms involved, but it asks a very simple question. At this conversation turn, how are you performing compared to 1,000 other callers that went through this same conversation turn? And if you're performing really well, relatively, then it will speed up the audio playback by a certain amount. And now you're listening at, let's say normal conversation rate is 100%. Now you might be listening at 110%. And now you're listening to the next prompt, which might be enter, the last 4 digits of your phone number. And if you, again, same question, how you doing compared to everybody who answered that question? And if you're relatively good, you might go from 110 to 114, and so on and so forth. And the exact opposite happens, same principle, in reverse. And I think, so if you're at 100 and you're struggling a little, it'll go down to maybe 94%. And if you're struggling still, it'll go down to 90. And there's a practical limit. We generally stay somewhere between a low of 85 and a high of about 122%. But that's basically how the basic Gyst technology works. There are other features, but that's the basic. Okay.
So, Dan, what type of voice application does it support?
So yeah, it'll support any kind of voice application that has a reasonable amount of interactivity with the caller. So what do I mean by a reasonable amount? It will not work that well for something like a call steering application that just says press 1 for sales, 2 for marketing, and so on. But if it's at least, I would say, 50 seconds long and at least 2 or 3 interactions with the caller, then it will work. And it will work better the more interactivity there is, okay? So if you have a 3-minute average handle time in your self-service channel, it'll do better than a minute and a half. But the types of voice applications are anything that fits those parameters, right? So, and what works particularly well is voice applications that have user authentication up front, right? So think of banking, credit cards, utilities, government services, travel tends to work very well, airlines and so on also, because they tend to be lengthy. You have to identify your departure city, your arrival city, your departure date, your arrival date, so forth. So but the more interactivity, the better. But basically any vertical from government, federal, state government to financial to healthcare to travel and so forth.
Awesome. So for organizations who want to test it out, do you also support like POCs? If yes, like how long are these POCs?
Oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, let me go back here and I'll show you some success stories. Okay, so here are some deployments we've done: retail banking, healthcare, telecom, travel. I'll come back to this and dig in on one. But here is the outline of a test drive or a POC. So we can basically have a POC delivered in about 2 weeks. And it's particularly easy for Connect and Lex users. What we do is we basically ask you for the customer, that is, for to export. Just simply go to Connect and export a copy of the call flow for Connect. If it's a Lex bot, just export the bot. And then what we do is we will instrument that cloned copy of either application or both, if needed, instrumented with the web API calls that are required to implement Gyst. We get that enhanced version of your existing voice application. And important to point out here that there's no change in the flow or content of the messages or anything like that. We just enhance the application with Gyst. And then you basically run that in testing, in A/B testing mode, side by side, with and without Gyst. And I'll show our analytics later on, but basically they will help you know exactly how many more callers self-served in the IVR. If your handle time was 97 seconds, it'll show it went down to 85. What percentage of callers, not only additional callers, opted to self-serve in the IVR, but how many actually achieved a goal in the IVR, right? Because it's not much good just having them constantly stay in the IVR if they're not achieving their goals, such as get my account balance and so forth. We'll also, and actually, let me go to a case study because this is a good way to see. Let's see, we'll take this one. So this was a travel. Okay, so this was, now this was a long IVR script.